AskReddit. What's the most fucked up thing you've done for money? NSFW. A friend of mine who is now a Marine wanted to punch me in the face as hard as he could, so of course I said no, but then we agreed on the stomach for 30. It stung like a bitch, but not enough to stop him from doing it again for another 10. Was at family dinner and my uncle complained that my aunt burnt the green beans. As a joke, he said he would pay anyone $50 to eat the whole bowl. He did not expect me to take him on the offer. This was a dinner bowl meant for like 14 people. So that night I didn't eat an actual dinner, just an obscene amount of green beans. Surprised I didn't barf, and I had interesting weird shits for the next 2 days. Edit. You bet your ass I got the money. I went to gym class in my underwear. I almost made it through without getting caught by the teacher. Edit. I made 30, dude. We sometimes had to attend the gym class in underwear if we forgot to bring proper pants for the class. I don't know if that's a thing in any other school, but it felt pedo as fuck. Even looking back it feels wrong no matter how you think about it. I once was bored in my mid-20s, around 3 a.m., and I saw a gig on Craigslist. Turned out an escort needed a safe driver to get her to gigs. Not thinking too much about it, I contacted her and spent the rest of the morning driving her around. At one appointment she came downstairs, came to my truck, handed me 20, and told me she needed more condoms. I was taken back but decided what the hell. So I went to the local pharmacy, this was now almost 6 a.m., and bought 2 boxes of condoms for her. Went back, handed them off, then proceeded to wait for 2 more hours. She eventually came out, I drove her back home, where she paid me $150. I felt so wrong taking the money, knowing she was getting railed for her money, then had to pay me. I took the money anyways, and she was pleased. I was a pleasant young man driver. One of the weirdest odd occurrences for me by far. Found the first Uber driver. I'm a 25-year male, had a 60-ish guy pay me $150 cash to help him cook dinner and watch a hockey game together, except naked the whole time. I have never been more scared for my dick than when making chicken parm naked. I'm a 25-year male, had a 60-ish guy pay me $150 cash to help him cook dinner and watch a hockey game together. Super wholesome. Except naked the whole time. You. Elementary school. Lick the janitor's mop for $2.35, what an oddly specific amount. Responded to a Craigslist ad for someone to pay me $200 to tickle me for 1 hour. It was interesting. Everyone's clothes stayed on the whole time. One-time deal, and I will never do it again. I sold a picture of my girlfriend's feet for $130 to one of her ex-coworkers. I asked her first, of course, but it still felt questionable. Yeah, you pimped her, dude. Not technically wrong since you asked her, but still. New business name. Hose and toes. Let a crawdad pinch my nipple. Fucker was far stronger than I thought and ended up drawing blood. I essentially had my nipple pierced for $1. Laugh out loud. $1. You still fuck. I spent 5 years in China teaching ESL. In addition to the school I worked for, I took private students as well. One was a successful but bored plastic surgeon. 90% of his business was the same 3 surgeries, so he wanted to learn English to break up the tedium. He would call me at random times with little or no notice and ask if I wanted to come over and give him a lesson. So one night he called me to come to his office. Very normal. But when I got there, the nurse was giving me booties in a hairnet and telling me to scrub my hands. Before I knew it, I was in the operating room giving him an English lesson while he performed a nose job. I shit you not. I barely made it through. The surgery channel makes me lightheaded, and I was catching the live show. Pretty much scarred for life now. Edit. He wasn't performing surgery on me. It was someone else's nose job. I was just an observer. It was a violation of like all known procedures of sterility and cleanliness in the UR, too. China is basically the Wild West. Steal porno mags from the corner store by my house and then sell them to horny kids at my middle school. This was around 1999, before everyone had smartphones and high-speed internet. I remember one of the local kids used to do that and sold my mate a granny porn mag before he realized what he was buying, then refused to refund him. Turned into a whole thing. Barely made rent and hadn't eaten in 3 days. Was a rough post-breakup year for me. Found an ad on Craigslist for some guy that was willing to pay someone to lock him in a cage and pee on him. $50 later I had enough cheap noodles in Sri Lanka to not go hungry for a while. Did you leave him in the cage? He had the keys to it inside with him, and after an awkward couple minutes he said I could go if I wanted to. He seemed fine, so I got out of there and had 5 showers when I got home. I was paid $3 to eat a lemon-scented wet nap. It was in high school, and I'm not proud. Also, I quickly discovered that lemon-scented did not translate to lemon-flavored. You like that, lemon whore? Sold Bitcoin at 1,000 ETH. This hurt me and it had nothing to do with me. Answered a Craigslist ad to kick a guy in the balls and walk on him for 160. Liked the easy gig and the money, made about $10K doing that afterwards and went to Europe for 2 months. Whipped my tit out and electrocuted my nipple on an electric fence for 50. We could be friends. I'll just watch you be friends. Late one night in my 20s in Okinawa, an overweight female bartender at a dodgy karaoke bar asked to see my dick. It was pierced at the time. I quipped that it would cost her 10. She joked back that for 10 I should be naked. Well, the other bartenders all threw into the pot, including a really attractive one, and so did some of the customers, mostly dudes who thought it would be funny to call my bluff. All told, I made around $120 to drink a beer in the nude while being jeered by a bunch of drunk expats. Guess I could put semi-pro stripper on my resume. There it is, folks. My top comment. Drinking naked in an Okinawa bar with a pierced dick. Found the Marine. Opened a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, so they sucked, shoddily put the pack back together and sold it to my buddy at cost, claiming it ripped in my pocket. Sorry, Greg. Waking up way too early in the morning to go to a place I hate. Not me, but a friend of mine accepted $300 for sex. Despite being into degrading sex, hence accepting this, she really had no need for the money. She was so aroused by the guy that they couldn't get his dick inside her. Dry like the Sahara. So she wanked him off. No one came out of that experience well. I used to give myself paper cuts for money in high school. Earlobe, eyelid, top or bottom, finger webbing, etc. People paid way too much for that. When I was 10, a dwarf offered to pay me if I stripped for him in the back of a dirty subway station, and I accepted. World of Warcraft is a strange game. The last sentence made me slightly less concerned, but now I just have more questions. Someone left an envelope full of money in a booth at one of the tables at a restaurant I worked at. I didn't even think twice about it at the time, just pocketed it for rent. Bothers me to this day that I didn't make an effort to return it to its rightful owner. Man, money ain't got no owners, only spenders. When I was back in school, I had a good friend who was getting bullied quite badly. He was scared to stand up to the guy bullying him as he was quite small. He paid me the holy sum of a Mars bar to hit his bully round the back of the head with a fire extinguisher. Cue an unconscious 12-year-old and me getting a rather long suspension from school and interviewed by the police. I was such a douchebag back then. Edit to clarify, we were all in the same year at school. I was just a bit of a loose cannon back then. As others have said, it wasn't the high-pitched ding sound you'd expect, more a dull thud. No lasting injuries, brain damage occurred. The guy I hit was a real nasty piece of work, but I agree I took it too far and felt genuinely guilty after. The Mars bar was pretty king epic. I was a waiter at a restaurant with a prep line that had mayo on it. There was only one dish that used mayo that no one ordered, so this mayo would sit out all day and get this foul yellow skin. I bet a buddy $100 to eat the skin right before the shift started. I spooned off the whole bucket myself and it was a heaping scoop. He powered through it, but not long after he was absolutely green. We are still friends. Met a girl online through a pole fitness thread. I was teaching pole at the time and traveling through her city with a friend, Canadians backpacking through Europe. She said she was interested in a private lesson. Because I was young and dumb, sure, whatever. My friend and I part ways at the train station. I had to give her the girl's address, phone number, forum username, and the contact info of a friend who uses the forum. The girl's transgender, had run away from home, and was working as a stripper to make money. I knew all of that. However, the reality of the situation didn't hit me until I was in her apartment. She lived in a building where each floor shared a bathroom and her apartment was a studio with a kitchenette. She had a twin bed, 2 chairs, a small table, and a pole. She had written words of affirmation like "You're a star," "You're amazing," "You're worthy," on paper and taped them all around her apartment. Cheap makeup and clothing was everywhere. Anyways, I taught a lesson as promised. Just very basic moves since she needed a lot of work. I gave her things to work on. She cried and said she felt beautiful and like a girl. She told me about where she worked and how excited she was to hopefully make more money with her new moves. She pays me money and I leave. It's fucked up because it was extremely stupid of me. I literally walked into a stranger's apartment building in a foreign country without even knowing what she looked like. I just assumed she was a real person because we had interacted in the thread loosely for months before I announced my trip. I didn't even have my BlackBerry on me since roaming charges were the worst. The entire thing also fucked me up because seeing the state of her apartment and having her cry about feeling beautiful just messed with my head. I've lived a relatively sheltered and privileged life, and this was a reality that I was not prepared for. I drank a cereal bowl full of grease scraped off the top of a meatball stew for 3.67. I didn't shit right for 4 days. I appreciate how specific this amount is. Suck dick, took dick, touched dick. I hope you gave it back.